There are three main raw materials used to make ductile iron. The down sprues, runner bars, and risers, which are a byproduct of the casting process, are placed into pits and remelted. Mild scrap steel is the second major input used to make ductile iron. The third major raw material used in the production of ductile iron is a high purity iron called pig iron, which is produced in Sorel, Quebec. The raw materials are transported from the pits using an electromagnet. The raw materials are placed into an oscillating conveyor, which is then indexed forward and used to transfer the raw materials into the melt furnace. Electric induction furnaces are used to melt the metal. Once the melt cycle is complete, the molten metal is poured into a transfer ladle. The molten metal is then poured into a large electric furnace, where it is held until required by the molds. Raw material is also placed directly into the large Ajax channel furnace. Up to 1.5 tons of molten metal at a time is poured from the Ajax furnace into the treatment ladle. The production of ductile iron requires the placement of magnesium into the treatment ladle. Some of the magnesium is burned off, causing the brilliant white flares seen here. Next, the molten metal is transferred from the treatment ladle into the pouring ladle. Each pouring ladle holds up to 700 pounds of molten iron. The final step in the melting and pouring process is to pour the molten iron into the sand molds. The weight and jacket are removed after the molten metal has cooled sufficiently to solidify. The castings remain in the mold for an additional length of time to facilitate a slow cooling, which will help achieve the desired properties of the metal. The mold is then dumped into an oscillating conveyor where the sand breaks apart. An oscillating conveyor transports the sand and castings for further processing. The sand and castings then pass through a rotating drum. The drum contains small pieces of metal which help to scrub the castings of any excess sand. The castings are then separated from the risers and gating system. Here we see the down sprue, runner bar, and riser along with the two castings as they would appear when they are shaken out of the sand mold. The castings are broken away from the riser at the connections referred to as the in-gates. This view of the casting shows the area produced by the core. The casting is a replica of the original master pattern from which it was produced. The castings have been cleaned of any remaining sand in a shot blast machine and are now ready for the grinding process. The grinding operator will remove any excess metal from the part line of the casting and the in-gate area. If required, the grinding operator may also ream out any holes and test the casting for dimensional acceptance using jigs to check hole diameters, casting fit, or other requirements. The grinding operator also acts as a quality inspector, checking the casting for any defects which would make it unacceptable to the customer. The grinding process leaves scratches in the surface of the casting, as seen here in this close-up view. second trip through the shot blast machine removes the scratches and puts a final shine on the castings. The shot blast machine bombards the castings with small steel shot. The appearance of the casting is markedly improved by the second trip through the shot blast machine. The scratches left by the grinding process are now barely visible. Many Lethbridge Iron Works customers purchase a machined casting from the company. Subcontract machine shops build the necessary tooling to machine production runs of castings. Machining operations such as drilling, reaming, threading, milling, spot facing, slot cutting, and rotary machining can all be performed. This casting undergoes a number of different machining operations in several different jigs. A coordinate measuring machine is used to check the dimensional accuracy of the initial run of castings. The coordinate measuring machine is connected to a computer and can be programmed to perform statistical process comparisons. The finished casting can be prime painted, powder coated, or plated. This casting has been prime painted and is now ready for packaging and shipment to the customer.